In this lecture, we're going to be talking about buyer personas and the customer buying life cycle. So let's go ahead and get started. Buyer personas are somewhat fictional representations of your customers. By being able to put a picture and a background to a segment, it allows you to create a more personal connection with the audience segment that you're leaning toward. You can use buyer personas as you're developing different materials for your marketing activities. For example, you could create a brochure for the BME program that just talks about the program in general. Or to be more targeted, you could create a brochure specifically for those that are graduating high school, or you could create a separate brochure for those that are looking to move ahead in their company, that are usually a little older, probably 30, 35, somewhere in there. When you combine the life cycle stage with the buyer persona, you're able to map out and create targeted content. And we're going to take a look at both pieces. When you're creating your buyer persona, you want to do research, conduct surveys, interviews, anything that you can do to be able to get a more accurate picture of your target audience. Let's take a look at an example. So in this case, our sample, her name is Sally. And we have a picture of Sally, so I just pulled something up that I thought represented who she might be. And she is in her mid-30s. She has worked for an HR or for a company for about 10 years. She started as an entry-level HR associate. She's married with 2 children. She has a decent income. She just questions her own next steps. She has specific business goals and personal goals, including wanting to start maybe a small side business related to her hobby, whatever that is. She's a little concerned because she's not sure that she knows what the best practices are in human resources because she's self-taught. She's also very busy, so she can't necessarily take traditional classes because of her schedule. You create some quotes for your imaginary customer. What might they think? What might they say? What objections might they have regarding your product or service? And then what messaging can you share with that specific customer that's going to connect with them? How are you going to help them arrive at a solution to their difficulty? And then finally, you'll write an elevator pitch that's just 2 to 3 sentences that talks about the solution that you have for that customer. So that's an example. I'm posting this PowerPoint so that you can skip down to slide 11 and begin developing your own persona. So you'll insert a picture here. If you right-click on the item, you can let's see, I think you can change picture actually. There is no picture, so you'll just have to replace this spot with a picture. You'll type here. So what is the background for this person? You'll give them a name, a background, demographics, identifiers. You already picked demographics based on the census.gov assignment. So you'll fill that information here. You'll also talk a little bit about their job, their family. What have they been doing? What do they want to do in their future? Yes, I realize that this is imaginary, but it needs to be true to that customer that you are identifying. Then moving on to slide 12, what goals does this person have? What are their challenges? What are their concerns? What can you do to address those concerns? How are you going to mitigate those difficulties? Add quotes. What would that person say about their goals, about their challenges? What problems would they have? What objections would they have to the products or services that are being offered, so that you can address how to counter those objections in your marketing materials? Then you have your marketing messaging and your elevator pitch. And remember that market messaging is to address the objectives that they've raised. What is the solution that you have for their difficulty? So you'll do those slides and you'll fill those out for your customer persona. And you'll put that information into your marketing plan. Now let's look at buyer life cycle. So there are 3 life cycle stages: awareness, consideration, and decision. So you need to know where a person is in their buying cycle so that you can address their needs most accurately. In the awareness stage, the person has realized that they have a problem, but they don't know what to do about it. In the consideration stage, they've narrowed their problem to be something specific. And in the decision stage, they want help making that final decision as it relates to that targeted problem. Let's look at an example. This is the template that we use. So we start off by putting in our fake person's name, and then we're going to put in a problem that they have. So Jimmy is new to gym ownership. He needs to buy gym equipment, but he has no clue where to begin, how much it's going to cost, etc. So if he's in the awareness stage, the marketing materials that you would most likely create is a book, either an e-book or a print book, that is a guide to buying equipment. So it's everything you need to know about starting your gym kind of thing. You might also develop an infographic that where you can stretch your equipment budget and where to splurge. Maybe they are past that stage, so they know what they want, but they need to put it into a more defensible format. So in that case, you might provide an Excel spreadsheet that has, if you were selling gym equipment, that has a breakdown of the gym equipment that you sell, its pricing, how much it costs on a payment scale, things like that. And you might also include a worksheet about what's most important to buy first. Then if they're in the decision, they already know what they want and they know how much it's going to cost and they have all of that broken down, then the stage that you're going to assume they're in is that decision-making stage. So in that case, you're going to contact them and give them a quote on the items that they need. So each one of these different items is a different marketing material, and it's targeted toward that specific life cycle stage that the person is in. So you'll take the problem that you list in that buyer persona for your sample person, and you'll list it here. Then you'll create a couple of content ideas for each of the different life cycle stages, and that will help you focus on some different things you can do in marketing to help that person push to that next level in that life cycle. So the last slide is a blank template for the life cycle stages. So the persona name goes here, and then you'll enter the text here for their problem, and you'll enter text for each one as far as marketing materials for each one of the life cycle stages. I'd like to see at least a couple of marketing ideas for each stage. Let me know if you have questions.